Solutions here in Southern Indiana. We're once again out on a customer's farm doing a field install on his 2013 and a half to 2016 Ram 2500 Cummins. This engine is the 6.7 liter. We will be installing our module, specifically our truck edition module on this. The model number is 20250. Just to cover some key points before we go about doing this install. Always be sure to have good connections with your injector connectors. And always be sure on your modules, especially like this one, if they have a power and a ground supply that goes to the battery, also make sure those are installed properly and tight and snug. If not, it may affect the overall performance of the module. So following, we will show you how to do a step-by-step install from point A to point B upon completion. To begin, we're going to go over the main connection points on this engine. There are some variances from the 5.9 liter diesel to 6.7, so we'll touch on those as we go. To begin, on this particular model, you're going to have a front injector connector. This is a 6-pin connector, and you're also going to have a exactly same connector on the back side. That is called your rear injector connector, and that will also have to be utilized in this process. To begin, just to touch base, before you attempt to remove that back injector connector, it is best, as stated in your installation instructions, to remove this engine connector here. That'll get that bulkiness out of the way and allow you to get your hand back there and properly remove the connector without damaging any of the wires or the connector itself. Also, we touch base on this model, you'll have to be using your power and your ground to supply power to this module. So we'll be using your post located here and here. That is your power and your ground, also noted in the installation instructions. These are 13mm sockets. Whether you have a wrench or a socket and a ratchet, just take these off, be careful with them, and just snug them up. You don't have to get these too tight because you don't want to damage your terminal ends if you ever have to take it off again. Now that we have all of our connectors unplugged, we're now ready to install the module. Now, as stated earlier, your front injector and rear injector connector are very similar. Actually, they are the same. Some of you may be wondering, well, how do I install this without getting them confused? How do I get this installed without putting the wrong one in the wrong place? Good that you ask. Labeled on our harness on each connector says which way the connector should go to. This connector here should be towards the engine fan, which of course is your front connector. The other one states it should go towards your flywheel. This would be the rear engine connector. Now, as you can see here, we've got them unplugged. We've also got your main engine connector unplugged. This is just a simple snap and lock. You take your plastic lock here to release it and to lock it back in once you want to install that. Now we'll go ahead and install the connectors off the module and to the factory locations on the machine. Here we are now ready to plug in your main injector connectors. Another thing that's important, when you're unplugging these connectors from the factory location, it's best you have an area to enter a flathead screwdriver or something similar. It'll release these tabs and allow you to pull them out. Just be careful when doing that not to damage the connector, break the tab, or nick a wire in the process. Now that we have the connectors from the module plugged into the common rail itself, we will now take the factory harness connectors and plug them back into this as such. They're good and snapped in. Now we're ready to go to wiring it into the battery to receive power. Just to remember when installing your power and your ground that this is a 13mm nut. In our case, we have a 3/8 ratchet with a 13mm socket. You can use a 1/4 inch ratchet, or you can use a wrench or an adjustable, whatever is most handy for you at the time. In the manual, it says where to install these. It's going to be these two side posts on the very end. Remember not to get them too tight, just snug. Back to the factory specs. We don't want to damage the terminal ends and cause any shortage or faulty malfunctioning. We're now finished up with this install on this 2013 and a half to 2016 Ram 2500 Cummins with the 6.7 liter engine. As stated earlier, this module is number 20250. As you can see, we zip tied the module up and away on the driver's side high, away from any moving components or high heat components. We mounted it up on the firewall here. We then ran our 4-position switch up here to the front. I know, like on some of our previous models, we've tied them up back here, but this is most convenient as far as keeping it away and keeping it free. This customer decided to run this 4-position switch underneath the hood of this truck. As stated in our installation manual, you can also put that inside on the dash if you decide to drill a hole, or you can put it down low by your foot pedals, whatever you choose. This was just the best way for them to work with it and not have to take any body panels out of the interior or affect anything of that sort. To sum everything up, we want to thank you for joining us on this install. We want to thank our customer for choosing another great product from us. This particular model is Ag Diesel Solutions, the Truck Edition. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and also on our website, agdieselsolutions.com. Remember to perform smart, perform efficient, and perform with Ag Diesel Solutions Truck Edition. Thanks again. Continue to join us and look out for us in the future.